You are listening to Unscripted Moments, a podcast about propaganda. On this episode, I am delighted to welcome Mike Hansen of the bands Hotel Etiquette, Gatto Black, and Pentimento from Buffalo, New York. Mike is a multi-instrumentalist, and I first came across his work by randomly seeing Pentimento live in Missouri almost a decade ago. We had a chat at the venue after they played at that show years ago, and he actually remembers the conversation all these years later, which we get into in the episode. And in this conversation, we discuss how his creative process somewhat resonates with the process of propaganda. We discuss all of his bands, Buffalo, his exposure to propaganda, and then we dig deep on Mateka Marisakun Rasakan with friends like these, Who the Fuck Needs COINTELPRO, and supporting cast. This is a great conversation, and Mike's musician brain really brings some awesome observations, and this is an absolutely wonderful chat. If you've never heard Pentimento, check them out, and if you've never heard Hotel Etiquette, they sound like this. Enjoy. Mike Hansen, welcome to Unscripted Moments, a podcast about propaganda.
My brother, thank you so much for having me.
I am so excited that you're here, Mike. So we have to go into this insanely weird backstory of how you and I first met. I want to travel back in time really quick, if that's okay with you. Can you humor me for a second?
I would love to take that walk with you. I think it deserves some attention for sure.
Yeah. So 9 years ago, when I was living in the central part of Missouri, I used to go to this one little club that had shows once in a while. And I wore a Lagwagon shirt to the show, and a band that I had never heard of, Pentimento, gets on stage and opens up. And I was like, dude, seriously, so baffled and amazed with how good the band was. And I was just completely blown away, and I had no idea you guys were from Buffalo at all. So then at the end of the show, you were sitting out on the deck, I think, and you're like, oh, hey, Lagwagon, right on. Don't see many Lagwagon shirts in Missouri. And I was like, oh, yeah, right on. And then we talked about music for a little while. And then 9 years later, I'm standing in Mohawk Place getting ready to watch my friend Josh's new band and my friend Zach's band, Del Paxton. And I was like, man, that guy playing drums looks so familiar. And I texted Josh. I was like, is your drummer from Gatto Black in Pentimento? He's like, oh, yeah. And then I told Josh the story, and then we got reconnected. And so 9 years later, I feel like this full circle moment with you leading up to that. And I was just completely blown away. So react. Tell me what you think.
Dude, isn't that beautiful? First of all,
yes.
I mean, the world is so small, but it is amazing and speaks to the power of why you would even want to do any of this shit in the first place. Because, here's a guy that I see in Buffalo 9 years after the fact. We didn't know each other. We didn't run in the same social circles. We had no clue. But something about your art and my art brought the thing full circle. I can't think of a cooler thing. And now I'm on your podcast. So that's a big full circle moment for me, because I definitely remember that conversation. I feel like I think about that more often than I should, because I was I remember specifically telling you, dude, I rip off the drummer from Lagwagon all the time. I never really gave away that industry secret before. And obviously Pentimento was a much different thing. It was kind of like an emo band. So what business do I have ripping off Lagwagon parts? But it was just really nice to meet you back then, dude. It was very cool that you happened to cross the band kind of by accident.
Yep.
And then there you were in a Lagwagon shirt. I could not talk to you, dude. You know what I mean?
It meant a lot. And so the tour that you were on, I'm not even going to go into this because if anybody wants to know the story behind that tour and what an insane story it actually is, you should go check out the Nickel City Soundtrack podcast with your episode because you tell the entire story of a particular tour that I met you on that I don't even want to spoil it. I want everybody to go hear that perfectly recorded podcast that you did with Mark Miller over there because
Oh man.
the story has been told and it is worth listening to. I was dying listening to that on my run in Parkside last week, and I was cracking up so much.
That's amazing, dude. Yeah, shout out to Mark Miller and Nickel City Podcast. Those guys are awesome. I very
Yeah,
much love what they're doing, and that was like the first time that I ever really got to talk about it. I mean, so much has happened since then. Between like band stuff just got deleted because COVID wasn't even around. But in the midst of all that, Reggie and the Full Effect goes on to like basically get canceled in spectacular fashion. And I
yeah,
never got a chance to just be like, no, yeah, you know what, guys, I think that dude is a fucking psychopath, and here's all the tea. Um, so yeah, if you're able to check that one out after this, it's very nice of you to promote their podcast on your own.
yeah.
And I appreciate the opportunity to not repeat myself. On the other hand, I'm glad you think it was worth listening to. I guess it was worth going through to have the story to tell.
Oof, yeah.
But just holy fuck, man, to give it a quick maybe rundown, it's just a lot of coke, a lot of hookers, a lot of shit you shouldn't be doing. So that's the long and short of it.
I love Mark's podcast. Mark is actually a Propaganda fan as well. He's actually photographed them on numerous occasions.
Oh, rock
So
and roll.
so I'm hoping to pick Mark's brain in the near future as well for like a little Buffalo Propaganda fan series that I'm trying to work on here. Um,
That's great. Where are you at right now? Are you in Buffalo?
yep, I live in Buffalo. I live in Snyder, just off Main and the
Yeah, of course.
290. So
Beautiful. Hell yeah, dude.
I'm one of those houses that oversees the traffic at the Big Blue Water Tower.
Nice, dude. You get that like whiff of the garbage landfills and stuff too every now and again.
Oh, it's absolutely hilarious over here. We have a blast. But what's so crazy, man, is like I had no idea that you guys were from Buffalo when I saw Pentimento live. And so to think about like winding up in Buffalo like 3 years after that show at Rose
Yeah.
Music Hall in Columbia, Missouri, it's like one of the craziest things ever to be like, because I loved Pentimento. Like I bought your vinyl at that show. I was loving it. I loved the records you guys did after that. I loved the EP that you did. And so it was just so funny to realize that you guys were a Buffalo band after I had moved here and be like, oh, wow, those guys. Well, that's pretty sweet. And it really kind of cemented a thing for me to be like, oh, Pentimento's a Buffalo band. This rocks. I feel a little more grounded here, you know what I mean? Because moving to new places is hard.
Dude, it is impossible. I don't even know how you ended up managing all that, but again, it just speaks to how small the world is, dude, and the power of music, right? Not to sound all
Yeah.
cheesy, but it's really really cool that you heard something and it stayed on your mind.
Hmm.
I think maybe that's the point. And so all these years later, we have the opportunity to connect this way because maybe you're thinking about that. It had an impact on you the same way it had an impact on me and on the rest of the guys. And it's just very, very cool. I think the tour is one of those things that tends to it slips through the cracks, dude. You think you're out there doing the real shit, but you're not noticing anything. A lot of it blends together. I have a
Yeah.
very hard time remembering certain places and instances and shows, places we played and all that stuff because we were at it for so long and you're just focused on different things. So it's hard for that shit to stick. But it's like a conversation like we had outside on the deck of this place. It definitely stuck with me. For whatever reason, it was just right.
Yeah.
And that's what I love so much about this stuff. It's like I don't know you, you don't know me, but we both know something, and we're both on the same wavelength somehow. We both feel it. Whatever it is, we both feel it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I just think it's dope. I think it's really dope to be able to come on here and do this with you after all that time. And dude, the fact that you're back in Buffalo is fucking crazy.
I know. Well, I'm not even from here. But Mike, also today is a super special day for you. Tell me about what is going on today, October 25th, 2023, because this is a good one for you.
Dude, it is a special day indeed. Today is the release of Hotel Etiquette's first full length LP. It's called Ouch. It came out on Triple Hammer Records, which is a wonderful little Buffalo-based record label. They helped me out big time in the production of this record and pushed me to kind of see the vision all the way through. And for a small label to make that kind of commitment and spend that kind of money and try to get after it just to establish themselves as a label the same way maybe I'm trying to establish myself as an artist. It doesn't happen very often, so I feel very lucky, and it's cool as fuck to do a podcast on the release day. I think that's just the thing that makes me feel legit. It's like, oh
Amazing.
yeah, you know what? I'm going to leave work and then I got a podcast to do because my record came out today and
Yeah.
I gotta. So thank you very much for giving a fuck enough to have me on. It's definitely a special day, but you're certainly part of that. So thanks a lot.
Yes, well, I listened to the record today a couple of times, and my favorite song by far so far is Sorry for Your Loss. What an unbelievable song, dude. Crazy good.
Dude, thank you so much, man. I That one is it's probably my favorite on the record too. To be honest, I think it sounds maybe closer to the Pentimento stuff than I'd like to admit. Um, but that one was a special one for me, dude. Yeah, someday I'll give you the story.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things, man, where if any song on the record had to come out, it was definitely that one. I feel like I don't know the fact that you connected with it too is a big deal for me because all the songs are special in their own way, but that one really means something to me. I'm gonna take that with me for a long time. So it's cool to hear you say that you enjoyed that track especially.
Yeah, on the first listen, I was like, "Oh, this is the one." And I also noticed that another band you're in, Gatto Black, the singer and guitar player Sal has been promoting the record a bunch today too. And I'm just like, I love that band as well. So it seems like you're really loving your life in music these days. I know you're not touring a ton right now, but like, what's your life? How are you feeling about music these days compared to like when you were out there on the road, like grinding nonstop?
Dude, I appreciate you asking that question because it's definitely a different thing. For now, I think the act of creating is fulfilling enough. And maybe at the time it was like, well, you have to make a record and then you have to go on tour and then you have to do support tours for the next year to do that. And then you have to also be writing while you're doing that. And then you have to book studio time and then you have to have the next release plan and you have to have promo photos done and you have to start thinking about artwork and blah, blah, blah. And now I'm at a point where I don't have to do any of this shit. We're all doing it because we want to. Everybody is 30 something. Everybody's got multiple jobs and kids and responsibilities. And it's a speed change for sure. It's not like I don't realize that touring and stuff is like a necessary vehicle for growing a band. I still believe in the act of touring. But to be in a position where I just get to make music now, it feels the best. It feels the best. Touring is hard, man. Touring is a job. It's a grind. Um, and we all love it for different reasons. Everybody that gets a chance to get out on the road, I know they appreciate it because it doesn't happen without other people.
Hmm.
You, in a weird way, like you're definitely serving this thick part of you that needs approval and validation from other people, no matter how much you pretend to like not give a fuck about that.
Hmm.
No matter how much of a hard ass you look like on stage, it literally doesn't work without others being involved. And that's the beauty of it. It's a conversation that people don't even need to have with words. We're putting out the music, you listened to it, you showed up, that makes this whole thing fucking run. And that is like, it's beautiful. I can't say enough about that. I'm so thankful that I was able to give like 10 years of my life to something like that. Um, but right now, it's been really nice to focus on things like, is this a good song? Do
Yeah.
I like how do I um, how do I take what I've learned about songwriting and apply that in a way that's not just like, oh, dude, well, we gotta make sure that the A&R guy at Hopeless Records really cares about blah 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 because this is hot right now, and this is what Citizen is doing, and this is what Real Friends is doing, and blah, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Um, Right now, it's just like, do you like it? Do you care? Do your friends like it? Are they going to be psyched when they hear this stuff? That just feels it feels so good. And it's not like you don't have that intention when you're starting out or whatever, but now that's the focus. That's not just a piece of it. That's just like, are my friends going to care? And
Mm.
that feels really really good. It feels a lot more authentic, and I think that's something that I learned through all the years of touring, especially with Reggie and the Full Effect, but definitely in Pentimento. It's like as soon as your paycheck starts to depend on this shit, you're done. You're
Mm.
done. The art has been like almost entirely sucked out of it. Now you're just selling your best act at your best attempt at authenticity. Um, and it's not to say that there's not real guys out there putting it all on the line when they play on stage. There are plenty of artists doing it for the right reasons, and plenty of people that I would consider to be real in their approach or in their message. But I also saw a lot of the opposite. I saw a lot of kids that had never been told no, and running with that idea because they knew it would make money. And that was really sad, you know? Um, Now it gets to be about whatever you want. I feel like I'm taking a lot of risks musically that I wouldn't have taken with a project like Pentimento because I'm a little more free.
Mm.
And I don't have to care what other people think. There's nothing riding on what I do. It's just art now. And I know that sounds like cheesy to say out loud in a way. I have a difficult time accepting it myself. I don't want to be like, oh, I'm an artist or whatever. But it's the act of creation and why you're going to do that and your intended outcome, regardless of what stage you're at, whether you're in a touring band or just somebody that likes to make music in the studio. You have an intention. This stuff is not just for me. That's a lie that a lot of bands like to tell. We're making music for ourselves.
Mm.
We care. It's like, dude, if that was true, you would keep it in the fucking bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't you wouldn't expect us all to come to the show. You wouldn't, whatever. So it is about other people. It is about what other people think, and it sucks to admit and it hurts, but at the same time, now I'm in a place where I can actually appreciate it. I have nothing riding on whether or not people give a fuck about this new record. I just really like this shit, and I want to show everybody because I'm psyched on it. And if anybody else cares, that's just like the cherry on top, you
Nice.
know?
Yeah. I mean, everything you say is making a lot of sense to me. As you can probably understand, I uh, consume a lot of propaganda songs. I have talked about propaganda a lot. I've interviewed them a lot. And in the last like 3 years, something I've noticed from a band like Propaganda is that Chris has often talked about how he is not in it for the live experience. He is in it
Mm-hmm.
for the jam space. That's what his
Wow.
that's what his sole objective with the band mostly is his happiest places are in the jam space and in the active creation and in the studio. And he talks about how much he like has like almost like an anxiety about the stage that kind of ruins it for him. Like he'll write notes on his set list like breathe, where he'll have like reminders of himself to like kind of calm down a little bit. But he's always talking about how the creative process and the jam space and everything like that is his happy place. So everything you said really just makes a lot of sense to me, which
Dude,
is yeah.
that's like really nice to know. I would be very interested to hear your interviews with them talking about exactly that because it seems like something that Propagandi and I knew about each other all the way back in 2001.
Mm-hmm.
When I first heard the band, which is like we don't know each other at all. I've seen him a couple of times and whatever, but I've never actually interacted with them as people. But it's like we don't even need to do that. I already know that there's something between us because that's the truth, dude. The
Yeah.
truth is that for some reason, stage adulterates everything. And some people take that in stride and do a lot with it. People are great performers and they're great in the studio. They're very creative and they put on great performances, whether it's on stage or in the studio. But The truth is that the act of creation, I think, is what we're all here to do, like as human beings. Like it's your job. Like it is a fucking superpower that you have that nothing on the rest of the planet actually has. You could have an idea in your mind and you could bring it out into the world for other people to seek out or digest somehow. And I think that that part gets lost on us a lot. So to hear that the guys really revel in the practice space and just the creation aspect and being in the studio, that is the truth. That is where the
Nice.
fucking that's where the juice is, dude. That's why this shit like matters to you as a person that creates. There's a whole other conversation to have about when other people get involved, when
Yeah.
people care about your record or they care about your music and they come to your shows and all of that. Like it's a totally separate thing, and it has just as many great things to say about it as reasons that it might leave you empty. It's very hard to describe that thing that you feel. I know a lot of people might feel in the opposite order, that like they don't really get themselves unless they're on stage. But I could totally see why, especially a band like Propaganda, who's very like thoughtful and intentional with what they do and say. Um, the act of creation is just, it's everything,
Yeah.
it's everything. So that was really, really cool to hear you say. And please, when we're done with this, shoot me some links to
Oh yeah.
your conversations with them. I would love to hear the insight.
Yeah. Take me back to 2001. Tell me about discovering the band for the first time.
Dude, I'm going to take you all the way back.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it was exactly 2001. I might have been pretty young at the time. I think in 2001, I was in eighth grade. It might have taken me until 2002 or 2003 to get cool. I was in the basement of a guy named Bill's house, and we were playing this game where you sit like 10, 12 feet apart, and you just like throw heavy objects at each other's dick and balls. um, we called it Kaddish, but that was my introduction to Propaganda. I'm playing this game in the basement of this kid's house, and this guy named CJ, who was cooler than everybody because he moved to Buffalo from California. He knew about every cool punk band. He could skateboard. He could play guitar. He was awesome. Um, he was making fun of them. He was talking about the blow dry my hair part from
Mm.
back to the Motor League. And he was like, dude, you got to hear this. It's so goofy. It's so weird. So there it was, popped in the CD. He plays the track. I'm blown away. I was just coming out of my like Corn, Limp Bizkit, Slipknot phase, and getting into bands like NoFX and Rancid, and then Propaganda and AFI and whatever. Um, I heard that song. I think I immediately like got picked up by my mom. I went to interpunk.com. I got the Today's Empires Tomorrow's Ashes hoodie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, immediately, I still have that in my closet.
Amazing.
Yes, yes, and that was it. I mean, that band. I feel like I'm not the Propaganda historian that I should be, but I will say that they have moved me a million times since the first time I heard them. I feel like every time I listen to Propaganda, I'm wondering why I listen to other bands at all. Um, so, my introduction to them was basically somebody was making fun of them, and I just fell in love, and I had a hard time. Um, I had a hard time listening to How to Clean Everything and Let's Talk More Rock, because I was just so in love with Today's Empires that
Yes.
I couldn't get over how like serious that record sounded compared to Ska Sucks and whatever. Um, which is like, it shouldn't be true because I love John K. Samson and I love the Weaker Thans. They were a huge inspiration for Pentimento. I mean, our singer, he loved that band more than anything.
Yeah.
So especially after learning that that was a thing, I like my mind was fucking blown. I couldn't believe that John K. Samson from the Weaker Than was in Propaganda. That really killed me, and I didn't learn that until much later. But um, Dude, I had a hard time getting over today's empires, tomorrow's ashes. I
Hmm.
feel like that creates some of my bias with like their older material. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was my introduction to them, dude. Back to the Motor League, which I feel like is true for a lot of people. But um, just what a song, what a record. I can't say enough good things about it.
Did you get the cassette single of Back to the Motor League, which was like a split with Sick of It All from Fat Records as like a promo material?
No, bro. I no. I
I
listen. I'm learning about this for the first time. That's incredible.
I have a copy, so I'll show it to you sometime because you will absolutely get a kick out of it. It's just a little cassette single. And it's Sick of It All in Propaganda, like a split cassette. It's ridiculous.
Dude, that
Um,
is like better than nudes at this point.
I know,
That
isn't it
is so
incredible?
cool. Yeah, please send me a picture of that.
Yeah, I'll try and send you a like the Discogs link too if I can track it down. It's hilarious. You
Great.
said you saw him live a couple times, right?
I have seen them live a couple times. I caught them in 2012 with Comeback Kid in Buffalo.
At Town Ballroom, right?
Yeah, it was a ballroom show, and then I saw them again at Fest. I think it was the same year actually. And Pentimento was playing Fest that year. It might have been 2012. Um, and so I was able to catch him at the I think it was called the High Dive, which was like the bigger venue in Gainesville um, during Fest before they started doing the outdoor stuff. Um, so I caught them twice that year, which was lucky. I actually Fest like their administrative team was looking to do some like promo material for the festival, and they wanted to do like band on band interviews. And so they picked us and they were like, hey, which band would you want to interview? And I jumped on it and I was like, dude, I want to interview Propaganda so
Oh my
fucking
God.
bad. Right, right. But here's the thing, bro. And I was a young guy. Okay. I was a young I was a young kid. I didn't know. Okay. I just I had to submit the questions beforehand for approval, which makes sense. But they asked me like, hey, just come up with like 10 questions. You're gonna ask them, and they're gonna answer, and it's gonna be great, and we're gonna use it for content and whatever. So I had to give them this list of questions for approval, and I thought I was being funny. Okay, like I thought I was being cool. I was trying to ask questions that were not the typical, like, hey, where are you guys from? And how did you form? And blah, blah, blah. I sent them the questions. I thought they were so fucking good. I thought they were thoughtful and funny and whatever. And they just said no. Like,
Hmm.
like their team, like, copy and pasted an email from them that just literally said the word no.
Amazing.
Um, yes, and it was, my questions were like in hindsight, that makes perfect sense. I totally understand why they passed, but I was like, how how hot exactly was Laplani's older sister? Or like, do do Canadians, like, are they allowed to talk about America like that? I'm not really. It was shit like that. I thought I was being cool, and I thought like for some reason I had it in my head like you guys they'll get it. They won't. But now I see that like maybe I was making a mockery of some of that shit, and I could have been cooler at the time, but I didn't know how. So yeah, dude, I blew it. But I did see them that year. They were amazing. The fest went off for them. I remember seeing Todd, the bass player, just like in between every song, he was like celebrating.
Hmm.
He was throwing his fist in the air like he just fucking scored the championship goal,
Yeah.
and like he was like clapping after every song, and I thought that was so fucking cool. And it's funny now because like even in hotel etiquette, like I see myself mirroring a lot of that behavior on stage. Like now I tend to clap or celebrate a little bit after every song because why not? Like you should fucking love your own band. That would be, if you thought you guys did a good job, you should definitely clap. Um, so yeah, they I feel like they've influenced me in more ways than one, but that fest performance in particular, yeah, definitely bummed I didn't get to interview them, but I totally get it. My question sucked.
But like the story itself, like that's the experience right there. You know what I mean? Having that story and documenting it here on the podcast like that is like just the most niche, ridiculously hilarious thing to include on a podcast like this. You know what I mean?
I do not deserve that because like I have thought about this situation so many fucking times since it happened. And the fact that I get to go on a podcast about propaganda to tell
Yeah.
this story is ridiculous. So yes, like I mean, and thank you again infinitely for the chance to do that because now I can get it off my chest. Maybe now I'll be able to sleep at night.
Amazing.
Yeah, so that's great. Thank you so much.
Okay, well, Mike, let's talk about some songs. Something that I do on this podcast is whenever I have guests on, I ask them to pick their top three songs. It's kind of like a podium finish sort of thing. And you chose two from Today's Empire, Tomorrow's Ashes, and one from supporting cast. So we got Mataka Marisa Kun Rasakan with Friends Like These, Who the Fuck Needs COINTELPRO, and Night Letters. So let's go in chronological order here. Um, Tell me a little bit about what Today's Empire. I mean, you kind of already have a little bit, but if you have any additional thoughts on what you'd like to say about what Today's Empires, Tomorrow's Ashes means to you, like as a piece, feel free to start off with that before we dive into the song specifically.
I I I don't know that I don't know that I have all of the words that I need to describe the type of influence that that record had on me. I know that it might be difficult to hear that when listening back to some of my projects because it's adjacent for sure, but I'm not in a politically charged punk band, so it's I could see why it would be difficult to tell that that band has had such a big impact on me musically. But I think that when I heard that record, I had never heard people take risks like that before. It introduced me to a lot of ideas. Some of the samples that they used on the record between tracks or to start the record. The bluntness of the lyrics, but the storytelling. I mean, I was used to bands like maybe Rise Against or Strike Anywhere or Anti Flag or something like that. And
Mm-hmm.
when I was receiving information about injustice around the world or the government or something like that, it was through the lens of people that were doing a good job at simplifying it, but it's like the casualties are not telling the same story that propaganda is telling. You know
Right.
what I mean? So there's there's definitely a difference in the things that maybe spearheaded my interest into punk rock. But when I started to figure out um, that people were interjecting real ideas into this stuff, and of course there needs to be the surface level shit that just says, you know, fuck authority. We need Pennywise to just say that. But when you really marinate on that idea, maybe you get to a band like Propaganda, and now you're learning about history. They're like telling you stories and giving you lessons that would make you think after you turn the record off.
Yeah.
And I can't believe that. I feel like that is something that really influenced me as a songwriter. It's definitely about the content of the record, but when you turn the record off, what are you going to do with that? And that stood out to me very early on with that band, and I feel like it made a lot of things okay. Um, when I heard the Judas Priest part um, in fucking COINTELPRO, I just I was like, oh, dude, that's a thing that you're allowed to do when you make music. Like that's such a nice thing to I don't know, to be shown that example and it's not corny and it's not like you ripped it off for your own gain. You're
Yeah.
deliberately calling back to something that has influenced you in some way. So like even on the record I just put out today, like I have a callback to like a Rage Against the Machine line, you know,
Yes.
and I feel like in some small way that's it's like I'm ripping off Rage Against the Machine, but like I was kind of ripping off Propaganda, who was ripping off Judas Priest at the time too, and it all just like it comes to a head in that way. You know what I mean? They taught me a lot of lessons about what was okay to do.
Yeah.
It freed me as a musician. So my bands definitely don't sound like Propaganda, but I feel like some of the lessons that I learned because of their music, when I zoomed out a little bit, thought about it, they stuck with me in that way. So yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Man, there's like this like kind of having this realization right now that this record tells specific historic stories much more than the other records. Like you have track one about the life of Bela Gallos. You've got Today's Empires, Tomorrow's Ashes, which talks about Pine Ridge, Ruby Ridge, uh, Fred Hampton, anime, and then there's like all these other examples, like the Truman statue listed in like Albright Monument, Baghdad, and there's just countless historic examples of real world events that are included in this record. I think more so than any other propaganda record that there is. Like this is like the one that has like the most historical Easter eggs in it. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. Yeah, I mean, in my travels on the internet, I've definitely like gone to their website and checked out their like it's from the horse's mouth type explanations for some of the songs, or them literally giving you the history behind some of the lyrics. And I think that's so cool of a band to do, so that people aren't left to wonder. But it's like the reason that people aren't left to wonder isn't because they're so full of themselves that they need to explain to the audience why they did XYZ and why they said XYZ and make
Mm-hmm.
it seem like it's more important than it is. No, it's like the opposite. They decided I have to tell the story of somebody else because I have this platform as a band that gets around. I have the opportunity to travel and tell these stories. And if I can say something that changes somebody's mind, if I can say something that makes somebody decide to crack a fucking book or go online and seek out some information and learn, that's really incredible, you know? And it's like, I respect any band that decides to go ahead and do that, because it really is like about what you're willing to sacrifice. You could easily be a band that's just out there pushing yourself and your own shit, but no, like you decide that you're the whole idea isn't just about rhetoric. It's not just virtue signaling. It's not just trying to tell people that you care about these issues, which maybe was more the vibe of a band like Anti-Flag. Let's say it's like, okay, guys, I get it. Like, meat is murder and dairy is rape, but why?
Mm-hmm.
So then you listen to a band like Propaganda, and they'll take you through it. You know, they'll really make a case. And I just appreciate that so much, because not only do they do that, but they do that in a way that's not fucking corny. And how impossible, as a person that like tries to write music and a person that gives a shit about songwriting and especially lyric writing, it's like, how do you take these stories or these messages and make it sound like poetry, but it's factual and it's something that makes you think when again, when you turn the record off, when you're done listening to it, your mind is still going, your mind is still reeling. And I know that Propaganda knows that they're doing that to people, which is why
Yeah.
they keep putting out records, and they always fucking should. You know, just the fact that they could push somebody in, I'm not even going to say the right direction, just to push someone along to think for themselves or seek out information. That's a beautiful thing. You know, that's really amazing.
Tell me a little bit about why you chose Mataka Marisakun Rasakan as one of your song choices.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I think after this record, Propaganda realized that the first song on the record really makes a statement. I think that there's a lot about this song that feels serious. It was a total level up from the previous record. And it's not like their other stuff wasn't good. It's just this is a totally different face.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it definitely grabbed me the right time as a kid, but even where I am now as a music listener and a songwriter, every time I listen to that song, and that record, of course, I feel like they realized at that time, when they picked that song to be the first track, that every release since then has had the sickest opener of all time. They figured it out. They were like influenced by themselves. So I like to think that they were like listening back to Empires for the first time. They realized that that song made such a statement, like about who they were as a band at that point, but who they were going to be moving forward as well. It has literally everything. It's such a good expose of what they're capable of. I feel like if you needed an introduction of Propaganda and all that they could do, you don't have to look any further than that particular song. It has like everything that there is to send a message about. about their band.
Nice. As like a multi-instrumentalist yourself, like you sing in a band, you play guitar in a band, you play drums in bands. Like, what are your thoughts on like the any thoughts around the particular musical performance on this that kind of strikes your musician brain?
Dude, I was listening back a couple of times just to prepare for the podcast, and I the drums in the intro make no sense to me. I mean, I've been playing drums since I was a kid. They like it's just so cool and weird. One thing I really love about that, like the guitar work too, is that the lead and the rhythm could kind of like be interchanged and it wouldn't make a difference because they just work so well together. And they're both so fucking good. But they do a really great job at creating chord progressions, and cool chord progressions are just like something I'm a total sucker for. I feel like chords are coordinates. So when you're sitting there and you're just dicking around on the guitar and you hear something that captures your attention, that sets the stage for everything that's to come. So when you get a chance to like tell a really cool story, especially like this one, to a chord progression that's also equally as compelling, that's really special because it keeps the listener totally in the fucking moment. So
Hmm.
I love what they chose to do. This is like one of those bands that's really good at playing like high up the neck too.
Yeah.
Like their chord progressions are just not typical. And it's like, it makes you want to learn them. It makes you want to know what the fuck their process is like, because this writing style is so crazy. The structure is insane. There's some callbacks, there's some familiar parts, but there's no chorus. There's nothing really that happens. Just the music stays the same. The lyrics are totally different. They just did a really great job at putting all these parts together that feel necessary. The bass playing on the song, I feel like, should be illegal. Um, it's just a very clear example of people that understand like punk music, but also playing their fucking instrument. The bass guitar knows what to do as a bass player. He's not just playing or following the progression. It's putting all the stuff where it hurts. And I feel like all of the guys in the band are super good at that. But the bass playing on that song always really, really grabbed me. It's so fucking interesting. And every time I listen back, I'm impressed by that.
Yeah, I love that you pointed out how good they are at playing high up the neck because like one of all anybody has to do is go listen to Resisting Tyrannical Government off of Less Talk More Rock
Oh
and
yeah.
listen how weird the guitar is on that song, but how unbelievable the song is as itself, and then go watch a video of how Chris plays it whenever they play it live. It's like mind blowing to think that that is an idea that somebody had that turned into a song that is that great because almost no bands can do that. You know what I mean?
I totally agree. Yeah, it's a completely different style of guitar playing that completely works for this type of music, which is so interesting. I know maybe there's a couple bands that would come close. I could think of like maybe like Strike Anywhere or Strung Out or
Hmm.
something like that. But there's just not a lot of people exploring the guitar in the same way, and I know that that has a lot to do with like their metal influence, which is like wonderful. You didn't you didn't just steal chord progressions and ideas from old fucking Black Sabbath records. You were like, oh, these guys like care about the rest of their guitar. They're not just playing the chunky shit.
Yeah.
Which is like great because they cross so many fucking lines, dude. I say all the time that Propagandhi is like secretly the best hardcore band of all time. Like
Yes.
nobody knows that. They would write a better hardcore record than any hardcore band that exists. They just haven't,
Yeah.
but dude, all that stuff really impressed me. And again, it's just shit that like changes your mind as a person that wants to write music. It's like, oh, cool. Well, I don't have to start with just fucking EADGC or whatever. I can explore and figure out how to make the sounds come out of the guitar that feel like I feel inside, because that's what all their shit sounds like to me. It's like just the chords alone make me so invested, and it's amazing that they can back that up lyrically too. But specifically this song has some incredible progressions and just the seamless transitions part to part. I'm a total sucker for it for sure.
Nice. Well, speaking of lyrics, do you have any particular thoughts on the lyrics of this one? Because it's quite an amazing story, and I was just curious what grabs your attention.
Yeah, I'm so impressed with their storytelling always, but this song in particular, it sounds like you're talking to your friends, but about like geopolitics and prison and shit. I think in particular the whisper at the end of the song really does it for me. Being able to learn that they met with the woman that inspired this song and getting to learn the backstory straight from the band was incredible. It was just so cool to know that bands are out there like walking the walk and not just writing the song to signal or doing political material because it has a built-in audience in punk music. But being able to tell that woman's story and lead people to seek out information and learn something true that requires your attention is beautiful. And I feel like the reason that punk rock exists. Um, I think that if you there's not a particular line in the story in the lyrics that gets me, but the whole story itself is really special, and I encourage everybody to just check that song out, just to read and wonder a little bit about what life is like when you're not in a cushy wonderful country that allows you to complain about garbage on the internet.
Yeah, I love it. Well, Mike, let's go to your second song. For the second one you chose with friends like these, who the fuck needs COINTELPRO, which delights me because we've never done an episode on that song yet, and it's kind
Oh,
of one
great.
that, yeah, it's one that threw me for a loop. So I'm definitely curious about your thoughts and ideas because what I'm going to do whenever we make that full episode is I'm going to snip this little segment of this interview and I'm going to put it in that episode as well. So we're going to double dip your interview into the COINTELPRO episode at a later date, which I hope delights you because you'll be on the podcast twice with one interview.
Dude,
Um,
it is delighting me currently. Thank you so
y-
much.
yes. So why did you choose with friends like these? Who the fuck needs COINTELPRO?
Dude, I think part of it was again, they have this way of speaking to you as a listener, like you're their friend and they're just trying to tell you something. I think that's really cool. It's another situation where I was too young to know like what COINTELPRO was, and then I hear this record and I had to go on the internet and look it up to avoid like being a poser. And it's a really fun song that probably would have been my favorite on the album if you asked me when I was like 14 or 15 when I heard it. But it has everything you could ever want. Even the outro, which is like this song in particular is like one of the only ones I can think of off the top of my head that gets a pass for the fade out at the end.
Hmm.
Does it like feel a little ska to you at the end? I notice a lot of like upstrokes, and
Ooh, nice.
I didn't want to point the finger. Um, this is a great example of like why I would say that Propaganda could write a great hardcore record or is secretly the best hardcore band. This song in particular has some progressions in it that are just so fucking cool, and it gives you that nostalgic feeling for early hardcore stuff, especially like the bass intro and everything. But it's just a fucking blast. This is the track with the Judas Priest reference, so even before I knew what was going on, I thought that was so cool that they would do that, and I didn't have a chance to like use that secret weapon until this most recent release. So I think it's really cool that you could do something that like I don't know, maybe you would see a lot in like hip hop, where you make references to things in tracks that came before yours, but it just makes the listener feel like they're in on something. And I feel like that's a really special thing to do. But the song is just it's a blast. Everything about it, everything
Yeah.
about it, yeah.
What are there any like particular moments in the musical performance that really kind of grab you?
Um, I'm gonna say that the line where any parades you can't jump in front of, any long years of hard work that ain't yours.
Mm.
Um, is such a hard ass line. I love that they also give you the definition of COINTELPRO like in the track, so you don't have to use the internet or you don't have to like seek that information out. They tell you the purpose of this new counterintelligence endeavor is to expose, disrupt, misdirect, discredit, or otherwise neutralize. Like
Yeah.
that is so badass that
They
you
quoted
know
it.
what I mean? They just told you, and that's the amazing thing about a band like this. Like it is the truth. They're literally telling you the same thing that you would find anywhere on the internet that has accurate information about this sort of thing. So that was really cool. Again, it just makes you feel like you're in on the fucking thing, on the joke, on the bit, on the conversation. And that's a really special thing for an artist to be able to do. I just think they're so fucking good at it.
Unbelievable. Okay, well, Mike, let's jump forward a little bit. We're going to talk about the record that came out 8 years later, Supporting Cast. Tell me your thoughts on the Supporting Cast LP, because these two records are my two favorite Propaganda records, the ones that you pick songs from. So tell me your thoughts on this record as a whole.
That's awesome. I'm glad to know that those are your favorite because I feel the same. This, in some way, um, seemed more serious than today's Empires, and I didn't think that there was going to be a record that outshined that. Um, it, I don't know how you make this kind of music and somehow continually perfect it and get better. But I will say that supporting cast feels like if today's Empires was a 10, this is definitely an 11.
Mm-hmm.
I listened to it today on my drive home because I wanted to make sure that what I think is what I actually think. So I like wanted to say it out loud, but I just cannot believe the seamless genre blending, the way that their parts, the parts of the song, especially like the first two tracks, they're just so moving. And it's not even about the story, the lyrics, or the melodies or anything. It's something that is occurring musically that I have not really seen a band like I've not seen a band achieve this sort of thing unless you're like I don't know like Dream Theater or like Polyphia or some of these like progressive artists who are crazy musicians. They just have an understanding of 4/4 time that is so fucking beyond me. And I think that the track that I picked for this was Night Letters because of that reason exactly. Like just the idea that you could count to four, but you would hear it like that is so fucked up to me as a musician. I just like have never got over it since I heard it.
Mm.
Everything from the intro to where it kind of like breaks out into the punk stuff is such a ride, and I cannot give them enough credit for being able to take their influences and use them so well, so correctly. You know,
Yeah, man, let me tell you something real quick. The Empires is the record that made me fall in love with this band.
of
Before that,
course,
I was like a huge Strung Out fan. I still am, obviously, because Strung Out's amazing, but I always liked the fact that Strung Out had songs like Iceburn, off Twisted by Design and stuff like that, like the heavy stuff, right? Because I
yeah.
loved metal, and Let's Talk More Rock didn't really give me that. I liked Propaganda a lot, but when Today's Empires came out, I immediately was like, okay, this is 100% my favorite band now, no questions asked. And then for years and years, like I had a hard time with Potemkin. It was a harder record for me to process. I didn't understand songs like Cut into the Earth or Super Bowl
Yeah,
Patriot. You know what I mean?
right.
So
Yeah.
I didn't get Fixed Frequencies. I didn't get Fidala's Hearse. Like those songs didn't connect with me in the way that Empires did. But then Supporting Cast is the one that drug me back in and made me rediscover absolutely why I loved them so much. So these two records for me are like completely pivotal moments in my own musical trajectory for sure.
That is really interesting to hear because I didn't consider Potemkin when thinking about this. I think that record kind of missed me too. And it wasn't really until supporting cast where I gave them my full attention again for whatever reason. It could have just been where I was at, like at the time musically, but yeah, you're totally right. There's something about that record that really like shows you the whole scope of Propaganda in a
Yeah.
way that they weren't able to do because the history wasn't there yet. But you know, they were really trying to help the listener get the picture with supporting cast. And when I listen back to this record, I'm just so fucking impressed that you would even have these kind of ideas, let alone be able to put such thought-provoking and clever lyrics behind what you're doing musically. So yeah, another I picked Night Letters specifically too because it's like another example of like a badass opening track
Oh my
that's like
God.
it's crazy. It's like equal parts of them showing off and making a statement about where they're at as a band, but there's just so much like tension throughout the entire thing. And I feel like the intention behind that song is like it sounds like war. You know,
Yep.
it's like this is literally what hell would sound like. This would be the chords that they would play when you arrive, and that is just horribly interesting to me. The idea that you could marry the story with what the atmosphere sounds like on guitar, and I feel like the chord progressions just support that so fucking well.
Yeah.
And structurally, I feel like, dude, what a phenomenon! I cannot believe how much shit they pack into that track. But the open riff, just like it makes me want to run through a fucking brick wall.
Yeah.
I'm not smart enough to know how to sound that weird and still be in like 4/4 time, but it says a lot about like, dude, they've been playing together for a long time. They understand each other as musicians, and I think that really shines. That's something that you can't teach. You know, they literally understand each other, and I feel like it's very evident when you listen to a song like this. Like, who the fuck would even think this? You know?
I know. I know. And well, and if you think about like there's a riff and a moment that is jumping out at me where the guitar goes and then Todd screams on fire with war and I'm like, "Oh my God." Like that is the
Dude,
moment when that riff goes that does that huge riff and then on fire with war. I'm like, "Dude, that sound of that guitar is the sound of On Fire with War expressed musically
exactly.
with Jord in the background hitting those China hits, you know what I mean? It's like just
Oh my
insane.
God. And that's the thing. Like I mentioned this earlier, but they're just a band that knows how to put this shit where it hurts. It is
Mm-hmm.
ridiculous. Okay, I don't know if you play drums, bro. I
I
don't
do,
know if you
yeah.
play drums. Okay, so you know what the fuck a China cymbal sounds like. Okay, it's
Oh yeah.
awful. It's a noise that you should never ever use,
Yeah.
except when you're trying to make a fucking point. So for some bands, they get away with it because it hurts so good. They put it exactly where it needs to be to make this point, you know. And he does an incredible job on this track. The little accents are crazy. Whatever microphones they were using picked it up so nice. I also feel like the production on this record was a step above basically anything. I like the tones and the takes and the sound of the room, especially like the vocal stuff on this record is like very impressive to me. I feel like I'm right there.
Mm.
And I love the way that all of their records after Empire sound. I think there's a reason they keep like re-releasing their shit and remastering their shit. But this record in particular just sounds like you are in hell.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this track specifically, it just showcases all that so well. If there was a better opening track on a record, like I dare you to tell me about it because this really sets the tone for the whole thing and shows you all of the reasons that propaganda is worth listening to. You know,
Yeah. Do you do you like this song as the opener over supporting cast, which I think would be an equally amazing opener because they both have that
dude,
fade in?
right? But I cannot. This 1-2 finish, bro.
Yeah.
There's really, really something about the first three tracks on a record. Okay,
Yep.
it has to do something. The ride they take you on, I feel like this is cool because it has such a long intro. And it's again like it's then kind of showing off, but it's super worth the listen once you realize, well, this is the first track on the record. They're trying to just like set the mood for you. um I'm really impressed with their ability to do that. Track two is equally amazing, but I think it works perfect as a fucking track two. It's like the
Nice.
hit, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, supporting cast track two is I've said it on this podcast before. If you ask me on a particular day, I'll tell you that supporting cast is my favorite ever Chris Hanna track by in the
Fuck
entire
yeah.
propaganda catalog. Number two.
Let's go. Let's go.
It's that yes at 147 into that insane riff that just makes me go
Dude,
ballistic every single time.
I have ripped that exact idea off. Um, I have a song called I Want to Be All Right, where I whisper a yes right
Oh,
before a
sweet.
big guitar part because of that exact piece that you're talking about.
Oh my God, I absolutely love
Yeah,
it. Hey, so this is the only record that they did at the Blasting Room in Fort Collins, Colorado, and I'm wondering if you have any knowledge of the Blasting Room or anything unique in that regard. This is totally off the top of my head.
dude. Yeah, I know a little bit about the blasting room. Shout out to Bill.
Hmm.
Um, he recorded a band called the Swellers
Oh yeah.
for a record that they did a little while back, and I was able to record my last EP in Michigan with the singer of the Swellers
Oh, sweet.
at his studio out there called Wonder.
Yeah.
And that was a really cool experience. Pentimento had toured with the Swellers. We had done a couple of runs with them, and we're very close. They were super supportive of our band, so it was a very special experience to me to go record with Nick Diener, and specifically because I knew that they had learned a lot after going to the blasting room. They were always, you know, another one of those punk bands, man, where just like some fucking how they did everything right. They did everything right.
Hmm.
But I, but I know they were like heavily influenced by Propaganda too, especially the guitar work. Um, but you know, they went to make a record called "Good for Me" there, and that really cemented their songwriting, and took their band to the next level. You know, now they're on tour with like Paramore and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And they learned a lot from Bill while doing that. I got to hear some stories directly from Nick about his experience there and what um, Bill was able to do for them as a producer, his knack for arrangement, and some of the ways that that translated into the songs that I was making with him at the time. So I'm really proud of that last EP because it felt like Nick was excited to share what he had learned from the blasting room with you know, somebody else that was trying to make the same kind of music. And yeah, I definitely would love to go there and check it out and do a record there someday. Of course, that would be the dream, but I definitely feel fulfilled by the next best thing to do a record with somebody who made a record there, learned a lot of the shit, and was able to kind of pass me, you know, a filtered version of all that.
Dude, crazy story. I go way back as a Swellers fan, back to when they were teenagers.
Oh,
Be
let's go.
because my friend Jevin played drums for Much the Same on their Survive
Yes.
record.
Oh my
And
God. I love Much the Same, dude. What a
oh,
great fucking band.
amazing band. And so I used to drive up to Chicago to see them, and the Swellers opened up for them one time. So I saw the Swellers when they were teenagers, and they came out and they played that song "The Inside" from like their
Yeah.
first EP. Where it's
Are
like
you kidding?
when you're broken, you will know on the
On
inside.
the inside.
Dude,
That's like the only track on the record that like has double bass and it has like that screaming part too. Like,
yeah,
oh man, fucking great.
dude, that's one of that it back in the day. I was like, this is the best song that Tony Sly never wrote because
Ever,
it
ever,
it's
ever. Absolutely.
so good. So the
Yeah.
Swellers, man, I love them. Well, oh my God, Mike, what an absolute journey! I am so pumped that we have connected to nerd out about propaganda, but also your multiple experiences and bands and stories. I am just so freaking pumped that you and I have reconnected living in Buffalo. What a strange, strange time. Um, and also just so delightful. I'm looking forward to the Hotel Etiquette album release show coming up next week. So I will see you there. And I'm wondering if you have any stuff that you'd like to just kind of list all your projects and promote some stuff and give some shout outs to whoever you feel like and whoever you want to give a holler to tell everybody out there who's listening to the podcast kind of where they should go next if they want to learn more.
Dude, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I'm psyched you're going to be there. I feel like it's going to be a very special show. So I'm psyched that you're coming through. Thank you very much for the opportunity to do this with you tonight. Again, you made me feel like a rock star to do a podcast on my release day. So thank you. Um,
Yes.
yeah, dude. So the show next week with Cooler, Snakeland, and Wild Ones. Please check all of those bands out. Wild Ones has a record coming out this week too. that is absolutely incredible. I won't give too much away, but if you're into like the Gaslight Anthem and stuff like that,
Oh,
you're really gonna
yes.
enjoy this record. It hurts, man. It's a really really good one. Those guys put in a huge effort for this, so stoked on that. Please check out Gatto Black. I cannot say enough cool things about that project. Sal is an absolute madman. He's writing some really really cool stuff right now that's going to come out probably next year sometime. We recorded the first half of an LP. We're going to do the second half as soon as the new year hits. And I'm very excited about that. This dude just understands something about music that I feel like I've been missing for a long time. It's been so fulfilling and such a blast to play drums for him. So please check out Gato Black. Please check out Jewel Tone, the drummer from Pentimento, or I'm sorry, the drummer from Hotel Etiquette has a project called Jewel Tone that is absolutely crushing it right now. I feel like Buffalo Hardcore is doing amazing things. A lot of people are paying attention, so
Mm-hmm.
super super cool to see them also basking in some of that glory and enjoying the success of their release of their demo. I just can't say enough good things about the people in that band, and their songs are fucking great. Triple Hammer Records, I should also shout out for helping me actually make this happen. It's
Yeah.
crazy to have an idea in your head and then actually see it in the world. So can't say enough good things about those people, and they're putting out some crazy stuff this year, including the Gatto Black stuff. So please keep an eye on Triple Hammer.
Amazing. Mike Hansen, thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure. Thanks for coming on Unscripted Moments, a podcast about propaganda.
My fucking guy. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.